So I'm here at Bodyline today, and it's quite a nerve-wracking day because today I'm going to find out how much damage this vehicle has on it and how much it's going to cost to actually fix up this vehicle. Now, it's not only about cost, but it's also about how long it's going to take to fix up the vehicle. Because obviously we've got a lot of awesome stuff planned, and we don't want to be too hung up spending 3-4 weeks at the panel beaters fixing things up on the car. Now, at first glance on the vehicle, you may not notice much, but we've got a dent specialist coming through, and he's going to be kind of walking around the vehicle and finding all the nasty dents. Now, why am I going through this effort? You guys are going to probably thinking, you know, it's a 4x4, it doesn't have to be perfect, the paint doesn't have to be perfect, all of that stuff. The thing is, we're going to be wrapping this vehicle, and we need it to be as good as possible in terms of having the paint and dents and stuff removed, because once it gets wrapped, you're going to see all of that stuff, and it's obviously going to be a real pain slash impossible to fix it at that point. So we need to try and do as much as we can now so that it looks perfect later. So it's just one of those things we got to do. Anyways, let's get to it. Welcome to another episode of Overlanding. My name is Adrian Abrahams, and last week we transformed the interior of the Hilux. But this week we take on the massive task of turning this plain Hilux into something seriously special. Our new adventure begins at Bodyline, a panel and paint shop with a twist. The owner loves restoring classic vehicles and customizing more modern ones, so I knew my vehicle would be in capable hands. But I was pretty nervous about the Hilux, especially with its history as a rental vehicle. It was bound to have some panel damage, but I wasn't ready for what Munya, the dent specialist, was about to do. His marker just didn't stop for a second. Little circle, massive circles, he was seeing things that I'd easily overlooked. I knew that over the next few days I was going to be learning a lot about this vehicle, and a lot about what I didn't notice while I was buying it. But rather know than not, right? Okay, so there's my little taste of reality of buying a rental vehicle. As Munya was going around the vehicle, he's just like a madman with his marker, like a little dent ninja, and he's just circling and circling and circling, and I'm going, oh my word, I couldn't even see that. So, but it looks like quite a lot of them he's going to be able to fix up relatively easily, and we're going to be reducing necessarily the amount of panel beating and the really tough work with regards to repainting and respraying and all of that stuff. So hopefully over the next week we're going to be able to fix up most of the things on here, and this vehicle is going to be perfect and ready to wrap. So we've had a look at some colors. We've had a look at what we're going to do and kind of structure and plan what's going to be happening to the vehicle. Obviously we're going to be panel beating, fixing up, removing dents, fixing up scratches and chips and all of those things. It's quite a process that this vehicle is going to be going through over the next couple weeks, but it's going to be a massive transformation. We're going to be taking it from this plain white bucky and turning it into something really special. So join me now as we go ahead and get this vehicle prepped. We start stripping it, we start fixing some of the dents, doing some panel beating, and getting this vehicle ready for its color change. Now this was the really scary part, watching my new vehicle get slowly torn to pieces. Although the team at Bodyline were careful, I wasn't scared of everything coming off. I was scared to see what lay underneath. Would we be encountering new problems or damage, or find evidence of larger accidents? But surprisingly enough, the deeper we went and the more we took off the vehicle, the more we realized that it's actually in pretty great condition, and all the panel damage that Munya had picked up was superficial. So in a way, facing the fear of pulling it all apart has given me the opportunity to look beneath the skin and at the very least give it a good clean and maybe a couple of sneaky upgrades here and there whilst it's all exposed. For Munya to be able to work properly and get rid of the dents, we need to strip the inside of the vehicle to give him access to all the panels. This means stripping the doors as well as the roof lining. Now, I'm glad I had my seat covers and tack mats installed, because even with people in and around the vehicle, I know that everything is protected. But it still sucks seeing your vehicle being torn apart. So it's been a rough first day at the panel beaters. Watching my new baby getting torn apart. But yeah, it's gonna be a good day tomorrow. Looks like we're gonna start getting some dents removed, start on some panel beating, and get the ball rolling. Not too sure what our timeline is gonna be to get this whole thing done, to get it painted and the color change, everything confirmed. And yeah, we got a lot of work ahead of us, for sure. But you know what? Time to head home. I'm gonna chill and tackle again tomorrow. Now this would be a first for me, as I think for many of you too. It was such an interesting afternoon watching Munya working his magic, doing the paintless dent removal. Seeing all different types of tricks he used to push and pull the dents and smooth out my body panels again. It was a lot of work going back and forth a bunch of times to get it just right. He uses this little light bar to expose any dents or imperfections very easily and then works them until the reflection is perfectly smooth. Now, it's super important for us to try and fix as much of these problems as possible before we apply the wrap, because it is going to show all of these little dents once it goes on, and we want to try and have as perfect a finish as possible at the end of the day. And Munya was now starting to remove these circles as fast as he had made them, and all the hard work is starting to pay off. There were some pretty big dents on the roof of the vehicle, which looked like they happened when people try to climb onto the roof of the vehicle, probably for a selfie or something. But I was astonished at how well he managed to fix these. All in all, I was blown away by what could actually be done without damaging the paint or needing to respray the vehicle. It was a lot of hard work to get to this point, but there's still so much more to do. So far, it's looking pretty good. We have done the stripping. The Dent Ninja came through and did a lot of paintless dent removal yesterday, and today we're doing the actual panel beating and anything that needs to be fixed up on the vehicle. Then we can get everything primed up, and on Thursday, so 2 days from now, we are going to be painting the vehicle. So everything is kind of sped up really quickly, which is awesome news, because obviously it's not fun to have the vehicle all stripped out and, you know, not ready for all of the other awesome mods we're doing. So that's some good news for today. And yeah, let's see how it goes. It's going to be interesting to see this process. It's something I haven't seen before. I've been learning a lot from the previous processes with the stripping and the paintless dent removal and all of that stuff. So I'm keen to continue learning and seeing some of the tricks of the trade and how panel beating actually gets done. I think it's something that a lot of us are behind the veil, behind the curtain. We don't really want to know how it's done, but you know what, there's a lot of art and you know, kind of creativity and skill that goes into this job, and it's something I'm learning to really appreciate. But let's get back to it. Now it is time for some good old-fashioned panel beating. Nothing fixes your problems faster than a hammer, right? But by this point, I was starting to realize that there is an art to panel beating, and in maintaining the original lines of the vehicle without pushing it too far. There were things that I was sure wouldn't be fixable, but they showed me that if you know what you're doing, you can fix pretty much anything on a car. But luckily, most of the damage was on the tub and was caused by the bush law accessories being over-tightened and bending the sheet metal. But it all fixed up pretty quick and easy, and we were ready to head back inside to start prepping the vehicle for paint. Luckily, we haven't actually had to do a lot of painting. There's only one area that needs to be primered and painted. Pretty much once we're done with this step, we can mask up the vehicle and get it ready for the color change. How epic is that? So now the vehicle's just getting cleaned up a little bit more. Obviously now that they're getting ready to start spraying primers and getting ready to do painting and all of that stuff, there's a lot of stuff that needs to get kind of cleaned up and sorted out. There was some silicone from where they sealed the previous canopy, which has been a nightmare to pull off. Most of the little dents and things have been sorted out and fixed, and everything is looking good there. The panel beating side of things is done. We are now just on that final home stretch. The vehicle from this point on, once it's primed and it's had a little bit of painting done in the booth, we are then masking it up and getting it ready for the color change. It's a big step. I've got a whole thumbs that I've chosen the right color. Things are happening a little bit sooner than I thought, which is good, but it does put a little bit more pressure on the situation just to make sure that everything is done right. So I'm keen, but still a lot of stuff to do. A lot of stuff to do. But I'm thinking of making the most of this time now and maybe bringing in some people to do some sound insulation in the vehicle while it's all stripped down. Let's see how it goes. So we've got a pretty exciting day today. We've just got the last little touch-ups to do on the vehicle, just a little bit of spraying there. And then the guys are going to come through to do the rubberizing. Hopefully the guys are going to come as well to install the sound deadening while the doors are stripped. And then it's time to polish the vehicle and get it prepped for the spray wrap. Now that's going to happen tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be a pretty big day. Today is going to be a big day, and I foresee the weekend being busy as well. So this is now kind of pushing the vehicle over the finishing line for phase 1 of the build. And then from next week on, we're just looking at popping on all the major accessories. So this is a pretty critical point. This is where I get to see if my vision for the vehicle and the color I've chosen and everything is actually gonna work, or if I've just messed the whole thing up. It's been crazy to watch the tub get cleaned up, but this next step would really take it to the next level. The guys arrived to do the rubberizing, and now this is gonna cover up all those nasty scratches on the back and not only make the tub look 100 times better, but also protect all the accessories that are going to be installed back here in the near future. It was also super interesting to see how the hot liquid rubber actually sets in seconds, making the whole process quite quick. So a couple minutes after spraying it on, they were already unmasking and cleaning up the edges, allowing us to get back to work on prepping the vehicle for paint the next day. It's really starting to feel like the vehicle is coming together nicely now, and just a few more steps to go before it's a proper Rome vehicle. Okay, so if you want to know the difference between no sound dampening, nothing, sound dampening, that's awesome. Today is a pretty big day. The vehicle is pretty much ready to go. It's all prepped and the spray booth is ready. The guys are just about to arrive and we are going to be changing the color of the vehicle. So it's a pretty big step. We've got some of the other products here as well, like the bumpers and the canopy, which are going to be color coded at the same time, but they're not going to be installed today. That is going to be done at a later stage. They are not ready yet to actually be fit onto the vehicle. They still need to be completely assembled. But if this is anything to kind of judge what this vehicle is going to look like in the future, this is going to be quite something. So I'm super excited to kind of get this day rolling. I'm nervous. I hope I've chosen the right color. I'm not too sure. But you know what? What can you do? We're gonna make it work, whatever it is. But I think it's gonna be fantastic. D-Day had finally arrived. Today was the day I finally get to see my vision come to life. And although I had changed my mind many times on what color we would be going for, I felt confident with my choice and just hoped that it turned out how I expected it on the Hilux. It's amazing when you get to see exactly what colors go into make a paint. I decided on a metallic space gray. Funny enough, a standard color from BMW. But what is going to make this pop is the matte finish. But now, because this is actually a peelable paint, effectively making it a spray-on wrap, which can actually be removed down the line if I ever decide. It's one thing seeing the paint in the bucket, but now I just want to see it on the vehicle. So it is time for the technicians to prep everything. But first, it needs a perfect clean and polished surface so that it doesn't permanently adhere to the vehicle. Once that's all sorted, it's the moment of truth. With the spray guns prepped, it was time to begin the transformation. I was so nervous watching the first coat go on. And with each coat, it's just started to look better and better. Appearing quite glossy when wet, but once it dries, it mats out beautifully. And this is certainly going to be an incredible base to work from for the build. And I'm expecting some pretty incredible photos and videos of the vehicle in the near future. I just can't wait to see it all come together over the next couple of weeks. But by now, my excitement of it all has gotten to me, and I just can't wait to see it done. But we're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer. Thanks for watching this episode of Rome Overlanding. I'd love to hear what you think of the transformation so far down below. I also want to take a moment to thank my awesome patrons for their support. And if you want to join in on our weekly live streams and get early access to videos, you should head over to Patreon and become a member. On the next episode of Rome Overlanding, we put the finishing touches on the Hilux and officially reveal the new Rome vehicle. You don't want to miss this. I also want to thank my incredible sponsors for making all of this possible. Anyways, I'll see you next week.